Dracula? The son of the dragon? Count Dracula, created by Irish author Bram Stoker, is one of the most famous figures in literature and cinema. This bloodthirsty character has fascinated audiences for more than a century. But did you know that Stoker never visited Transylvania? In his novel, Dracula takes us to the Carpathian Mountains in present-day Romania. The desolate landscapes and remote villages are the perfect setting for the Count's terrifying legend. Stoker weaves a tale of mist, mystery, and magic, making Transylvania an essential part of the story. But despite this, Stoker never set foot in the region. He relied on travel books, maps, and conversations with people who had been there to build the atmosphere of his novel. Imagine reading a story so vivid that you feel like you're right there in Transylvania, only to find out that the author has never been there either. That's the kind of impact Stoker's writing had. His description of the Carpathian landscapes was so detailed and passionate that many readers believed he must have seen them firsthand. It is a testament to his skill as a writer that he could transport readers to another place and time without having experienced it himself. The truth is that Stoker drew inspiration from various sources for his novel. One of those was Vlad III, also known as Vlad the This 5th century prince of Wallachia was a brutal ruler, notorious for his violent and vengeful nature. Vlad earned his nickname, Vlad the Impaler, due to his gruesome method of dealing with enemies and, commoners. He literally impaled his victims, leaving them to die slowly from their wounds. Now, while there are similarities between Vlad and Dracula, Stoker never clearly stated that the Romanian prince was the direct model for his Count. It seems that the author borrowed only the name Dracula, which in Romanian means son of the dragon. But here's the kicker. Stoker wasn't the first to use the name. There were other fictional characters named Dracula before Stoker's novel was published in 1897. For example, a character named Count Dracula appears in a sensationalist pamphlet written by Polish author Louis Lazar's. In it, the Count is described as a cruel nobleman who murders his own family members. However, this obscure work is unlikely to have influenced Stoker since the novel was not widely read. Speaking of influences, let's talk about Stoker's research methods. Unlike today's authors who can tap into the vast resources of the internet, Stoker had to rely on more traditional methods. He read books about Transylvania, studied maps, and talked to people who had traveled there. He even consulted experts on folklore and the occult to make his story as authentic as possible. But perhaps his greatest asset was his vivid imagination. Using the information he gathered, Stoker created a world so believable that it feels like Transylvania itself is a character in the novel. Curiously, Dracula was not an immediate success when it was first published. It wasn't until stage adaptations and later films brought Dracula to life that the character captured the public's imagination. And when we talk about the Count's classic appearance, the black cape, slicked hair, and heavy accent, none of this can be found in Stoker's book. That's because much of it was added by the filmmakers. The 1931 movie starring Bela Lugosi solidified the look that we associate with Dracula today. There are also other curiosities surrounding the novel. For example, the word Nosferatu, used in the novel to describe Dracula's appearance, became famous after the unauthorized 1922 German film Nosferatu. Stoker's widow sued the filmmakers, and most copies were ordered to be destroyed. But luckily some survived, allowing us to enjoy what is now considered one of the greatest horror films of all time. The epistolary format of Dracula is also fascinating. The story unfolds through letters, diaries, and newspaper clippings, giving the narrative a sense of realism. It's as if the reader is uncovering real documents about mysterious events. This style was popular in the 18th and 19th centuries, but Stoker uses it to great effect in Dracula. Another curiosity is that Dracula was among the first novels to mix gothic horror with the modern technology of the time. The characters used trains, typewriters, and even phonographs to fight the Count, symbolizing the clash between ancient evil and modern progress. It's a fascinating blend of old and new that helped establish Dracula as a modern horror classic. Today, Dracula has appeared in hundreds of films, series, comics, and even children's cartoons. He has been portrayed as terrifying, romantic, or even humorous. This versatility explains his enduring popularity. Dracula is not just a monster, but a cultural canvas on which every era projects its fears and desires. More than a century later, Count Dracula continues to live, immortal, not only in fiction, but also in the collective imagination of the world. Now check out the video on your screen. See you next time.